Hello. Welcome. Today we are looking at folk emerging. Hope my mic's okay. As always, I had to fart around with it for 20 minutes before the stream, trying to make it better. The answer to these things is usually money. If you ever look at my channel and you're like, why is the camera not better? Why is the mic not better? You know, people give you all this advice. Someone gave me loads of advice on audio stuff. And it was really helpful advice in the comments once. And then they came back a few months later and they were like, oh, your channel sounds and looks so much better. It's like, yeah, I bought more stuff. And like most kind of creative industries things, if you look at something that looks very DIY and it looks really polished, it's just because that person has more money most of the time. So anyway. Luckily, we're going to be playing a game from a time before money today. I did a segue there. That was a segue. That's how the pros do it. Today we're looking at Folk Emerging, which is a prehistoric 4X game. And I'm going to do a bit of a preamble about the genre space that we're in, because I did that last time. People seem to like it. It gives a little bit of a framing to any sort of design discussion that comes up during the stream. And just to give you a bit of context, so Folk Emerging is by one of the developers that supports this channel on Patreon. They submitted it to the fortnightly, bi-weekly, still don't know the difference between those things, the fortnightly review stream I do that's just for patrons. And I looked at it and thought, this game is too long to really get a sense of it in 10 minutes or 20 minutes or however much time we had on that day. So I scheduled a kind of longer playtest with it today. I haven't played it at all before. This is a genre that I like. I've been playing 4X games for like 20 years since I was a kid. I really got into them through the Age of Wonders series, which is like, you know, Age of Wonders is Civ, but with a bunch of Tolkien nonsense, but mechanically very similar to Civ games. There's also Age of Wonders Planetfall, which is like a... Then they made Age of Wonders 3, and then they used the same engine to make Planetfall, which is basically the same game with a sci-fi setting. It's got some really cool kind of stuff you can play as. So I've played a few of the Civs over the years, but the 4X games that have a bit more of a kind of fantasy vibe or a sci-fi vibe do tend to appeal to me more. And that's one of the reasons why I find the game we're looking at today interesting, because it's got a unique kind of thematic take on the 4X genre, and personally the fantasy of being like hunter-gatherer, cave persons appeals to me a little bit more than the fantasy of Civ. So I'm interested in this. I'm interested to see what it does differently as well. And I remember seeing where is it? I think it's from 2022. There was a... Chris Zukowski had a chart of which genres. Here it is. This is the chart, the cursed chart that came from Chris's blog back in 2002. Like 4X games, median earning really high, very low amount of total games released. Now, when we've looked at this before, my interpretation of this data was actually that the reason why you see this is that there are fewer games in this genre released, and the games that are released tend to be of a higher quality. Now, the reason why I think you see the discrepancy between these two, and I know I'm jumping in the deep end here already, but we've got 4X here, and we've got simulation and management. 4X games, like, how that's like an eighth or a tenth of how many simulation and management games are released. I think one of the reasons for this is that when you say 4X, I tend to imagine like a player versus player, multiplayer board game type experience. That's what Age of Wonders is. That's what Civ is. And it's basically a game that is designed to play against other people, and then you can play it against bots if you want. And that means that as a proposition for like a small indie developer, it's actually quite hard to make a 4X game that really fits the expectations of 4X games from that audience. And I think that's the reason why you've got like a genre here that could be really popular. Like the games in this genre do have a high median earning. They do very well, but you don't actually get that many finished and released. Whereas if you look at the simulation and management genre, which has a similar kind of appeal, they're both kind of God style games where you're looking down on a situation and you're managing it and you're strategizing and doing bits of micromanagement and all of that. They have a similar kind of approach to interface and what the fantasy is and what kind of position they're putting the player in. But the simulation and management category just has so many more games in. And I think the reason for this is 4X has a set of things that people expect that are based on a very small number of titles like Civ and Age of Wonders and I don't know what other games that you would put in that category. I mean, if you're watching this now and you play 4Xs, please shout out in the chat like what your favorite 4X games are and what you like about those specific ones, because that would be interesting for us to take a look at in a minute as we get started. But simulation and management is such a broader, more amorphous category where you can kind of make anything. You can invent a whole new kind of set of mechanics and UI conventions, and people aren't even going to bat an eyelid because they don't really care how similar your city builder is to City Skylines or SimCity, right? I don't know. And also this genre seems to be less dependent on playing against other players or playing against AI bots that are meant to model other players, which is like a convention of 4X. So I kind of keep coming back to this. We've talked about this on streams before because I think when we see this chart that comes from, it's actually, this was released in 2022. It was the data between 2019 and 2022, I think. And this was on how to market a game. And I always look at this data and I think of it in terms of which of these genres are actually easier or harder to pull off or to like execute well as a small developer, a solo developer, small team developer. And I think 4X is a particularly difficult genre to do well. And that's why that market is very, very much dominated by Paradox games. Now, there might be a few people either watching this on the VOD or in the chat today who are absolute sickos for 4X games and play lots of smaller indie ones. I would love to hear what those are. I'd love to hear what they do to get over this problem. And I suspect what we're going to see is, we have a single, like what I'm expecting from Folk Emerging is that we have a game that scratches all of the itches that you'd expect from a 4X game, but just doesn't have the multiplayer component, which is totally fine. I mean, I don't play these games as multiplayer games, but historically they've been structured that way. And that might sort of shape people's expectations around them. Another thing that I like when I sort of saw the initial presentation of this game is that it has kind of auto battles for the combat. And what the games published by Paradox do, like Age of Wonders and Civ, is they often have like a tactical battle mode where you can control every moment of the battle and you can turn it on or you can turn it off. And sometimes I feel like I don't like having that option because it's quite cool to do a whole little Warhammer battle in the middle of your grand strategy game, but it slows it down so much. So you either end up doing every battle and the game taking forever and then you think, why does this game take so long? Or you set it to automatic and then it feels like a kind of missing out on a part of the game. So yeah, I kind of like the idea of this just having fast little auto battles to resolve that. And yeah, so I think that's one of the things we're going to see. So they've kind of scoped it down in that sense. I mean, not all 4X games have those tactical battles, but I think just not having the kind of deep Warhammery tactical combat is probably a good idea in the first place, not just for scope, but I think it might actually improve the player experience in a lot of ways. I would also give a quick shout out to, last year I played Dawnfolk. I don't know how many of you have played this, but it's like a kind of colony building game on a grid. It feels like some lost SNES game. Like it would have been a strategy game that you played on the SNES in the 90s and couldn't find a copy of and couldn't remember the name of. There was a particular kind of way of trying to design strategy games for consoles that Dawnfolk did very, very well, and it made it like quite a good sort of, they've called it more of a city builder than a 4X, but it feels like it does have some qualities of 4X because you're sort of moving around the map and capturing resources and deciding how to approach engaging with like different characters that are already on the map and stuff like that. And it actually reminded me of like there are like some old Romance of the Three Kingdoms strategy games that were designed for consoles that had that same kind of feel. So when I'm looking at Folk Emerging, I'm thinking of all of these things. I'm basically thinking of like, how do you take a heavy 4X strategy game and take away some of the parts of it to make it a little bit more manageable to develop in a small team or as a solo developer? And like, what are the trade-offs there? Like, where is the... What's the thing you can take away from a massive Civ style game and replace with something else, or just take away entirely, which doesn't detract from the experience too much? And I'm going to be really interested to see what the trade-offs are here. Eugene said June Spice Wars is amazing. Is that like the super old June one, or is that like a more recent June 4X? So I'm going to phone Google it while we're getting ready. That's a recent one. I need to play that. Age of Wonders Planetfall has like an entire faction that are basically just Dune guys with the numbers shaved off. Yeah, that looks cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. So we're doing 4X with cave people. Hover over highlighted word. Yeah, okay, we're learning how to use tooltips. You can click on them to freeze them. Okay. You can do the same. Left click outside to... Okay, cool. I recently played another strategy game that had a tutorial for tooltips. This one at least is teaching you what you can do with them with the mouse. Storm Tribe or Moon Tribe. The Storm Tribe worships the violent thundering storm. Hunters, warriors, explorers. The Moon Tribe worships the clever cyclical moon. I'm going to go for the Moon Tribe just because I think it's cooler. I suspect that the Storm Tribe, it looks like it's more war-oriented. Hunters, warriors, explorers, sages, seers, traders. That's a scary choice because I feel like everyone should have hunters. But we're going to go with the Moon Tribe anyway. Some options here. We're only playing it on small. I think it's a good idea for like demos to give everyone a very similar experience, even if it's not what they would prefer, because then the data you get from any kind of feedback from the demo is going to be coming from the same sort of experience but from different people. If you give people loads and loads of options, then there's just too many variables involved, right? You play as one of several tribes. Each turn is 1 year. Get 125 victory points to complete the demo, and to reveal proto-civilization paths, playable in the full game. The big button on the bottom left of the screen shows you what action to take next. Hover over it, or info, and left click on it to stage the action. Once you've completed all the actions shown there, you can end your turn. This one, okay. So we've got these guys selected, and we can do stuff with them here. Move or stay or split the band. The band size is 40 plus. There is a valid adjacent tile for a split off band to go. So this is all kind of UX stuff that I'm used to seeing in other 4X games. We've got a group of characters here. We can split them off and send them in different directions. We can move them. And you can turn this off so that when you cycle through all your bands, you don't get... If you want to keep some in a certain place, then they won't be highlighted to move. I'm not really doing anything focused on Next Fest. Yeah, I have too much stuff that's already kind of scheduled to really do anything super focused on what is happening specifically with Steam. And I tend to, yeah. I mean, this, like I said at the start, this is one of our community members' games that was submitted for our fortnightly thing, and I just thought, well, that's going to take a long time to playtest, so I'll schedule a whole stream for it, so. But it's very rare for me to do anything that's specifically in relation to anything that's going on Steam, because I don't really follow a lot of it. And I know that a lot of people will think I should, but I'm not really interested in what happens at the publishing level of making games and Steam and everything, because I think a lot of it just comes down to, is the game good before you start asking people for money for it. So yeah, a lot of the time I try not to focus on that side of things, because if something is already at the stage where people are doing commercial releases of it and it's not good, then there's not much point in me covering it and doing a crit of it. Because at that stage, the dev has already decided that their game is good enough to release, you know? So one of the things I didn't mention about this in the intro is one of the reasons why we've got this guy. See him over on the left? Got an animated guy from this game. So I'm currently working, most of my work this week is editing a video about playtesting. And the dev of this game is one of the people that have like submitted some stuff to that video on playtesting. And what I learned from them is, what they did is they did initial playtest with a very small group of people. Then they built up to doing a bigger playtest with a larger group of people. And then they kind of shrunk it back down again because they didn't want to just keep getting the same feedback from other people that they already knew. So this has been through quite a lot of rigorous playtesting. So some of the feedback I'm going to give, well, if I find anything with this game, put it this way, most of the time when I playtest a game, I expect to find stuff wrong with it. This game has been through so much playtesting already that I don't really expect to be finding many things wrong with it, from my perspective. So that's just a thing to bear in mind, and like an example of good practice. Like, start off with a very small set of playtesters, find any issues that seem to occur more than once with different people, and don't give the game to a larger group of playtesters until you've dealt with that smaller group of feedback. And then when it's with a large group of people, if you're consistently getting feedback on the same thing, don't waste people's time by getting them to playtest the game when you know those things are wrong with it. Like, pull it, fix it, put it back up again, that kind of thing. Yeah, let me just bump that up for you. Thanks, Curious Dynamics. That's the dev. Let me just... Bands can move multiple times per turn using movement points. That's what this resource down here is, I think. Movement ends when entering hills or forested climate or crossing rivers. Okay, so all the flat territory uses one movement point. All of the difficult terrain just stops and you would have to take a whole year to move across it. Movement, turn off a band's movement reminder to... Yeah, I've already seen that. Okay. So what are we doing? Are we sort of like going towards resources? This has got wood, and this is like wood and food, I guess. But do they have to actually do an action to do the foraging, or do they do it automatically? Achieve. Find and occupy caves. There's an opportunity up there. I don't really know what I'm doing yet, but I'm going to go towards the opportunity. You've discovered a natural wonder. Your tribe marvels at its beauty and deems it a spiritual sign. You name it Mount Kazbek. Devotee bonus effect. Devotee bonus 20% morale to units of bands adjacent to this site. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna can I split my band? I can't do that right now. Okay. Your scouts come across a useful opportunity. Do they gain morale or hematite? How are we doing for morale? So morale isn't up here, so I'm guessing it's a function of this band rather than like the whole tribe. But I can't, so I'm making a decision here about morale, and I can't see what the score for that currently is in this moment, which might not be a problem, but I'll just go for it now. All the information about submitting stuff is on the website. I can't go through it on every stream, but no, there are other streams for stuff where you don't have to be a member, but it's a longer queue because there's a lot of games in it. If anything on the website is unclear, I need to maybe update it soon, but it should all be on there. Okay, so that I can't split the band because the band size isn't big enough yet. That's why. So is that the 24, that number there, 24, is the amount of people, cave persons. Don't know what that symbol means yet. And I can click, okay, this is what their stats are. Production. Baseline is from band population, so that's divided by 10 to get these other stats. Their band culture per turn. 2.4. That means that every year, this band of peoples is writing 2.4 poems. Or writing one poem and doing 1.4 cave paintings. Or they would be capable of doing 1.4 cave paintings, but we haven't found a cave yet. They're doing some science. They're working out what happens if you put different things in the fire, all that kind of stuff. They've got access to a river. That's making them healthier. They're doing okay food-wise. They've already moved. Okay, cool. So the thing that this is modeling is not like in a Trad 4X where it's a couple of months of your characters marching across the map to go and do a war somewhere. We're modeling sort of migration of a people, so that's one of the reasons why it's sort of like the time scale is just very different. They're not moving for the sake of it. They're moving because they've depleted an area and they've, a year or two later, they're moving on. Which clan should lead the band Ado? Sages, focused on learning. Seers, focused on spirituality, or traders? Let's do sages. In turn. So we've got the stuff we can do with our band here, and then we've got this make decision thing, which we can minimize and then bring back up. So this kind of event card is this make decision thing here. Nature can be harsh, but for a brief stretch this spring, everything has felt strikingly beautiful. How should band Ado celebrate this tranquil period? I think we're going to retell some epic tales of our people. Many, many moons ago, Ugg farted on the fire. I'm going to check out the mountains now. It says we need to find and occupy some caves. Focus your band's effort each turn by spending production, e.g. to gather resources or upgrade your campsite. Producibles are unlocked via technologies and norms. So I'm guessing this is something that's like going to be a thing throughout the game, but we've just had it locked for a few turns because we're in the tutorial. Only short-term... At the start of the game, only short-term focuses, e.g. foraging, are available. Focuses are repeatable and give a bonus while ongoing or when completed. Their output usually scales up with production. Okay. Early on, alternate between foraging and other producibles to ensure you have enough food. So food up here, 24 out of 50. We're losing 27 each turn. You can forage local species for food and special bonuses. You forage by assigning foraging points to species. Okay, we have a different food web in each climate type. We're in the mountains at the moment, so... This is neat. So we have a food web, and if we kill too much of something, it's gonna kill the things that depend on it. So as a... I really like what's happening here in terms of like the level of abstraction and simulation and stuff. So the actual kind of apple symbol you see is the generic food resource that we need to get, right? Okay, yeah, we don't want malnourished members. And you can sort of... You've got a point of foraging that you can put into... Which is... Where's the hand symbol? So I can choose where we are foraging, or like what we're hunting or foraging for. I seem to be able to forage for animals, which is weird because at that point we're hunting rather than foraging, which is strange. So I can pick any of these things. That, if we forage it, it gives us food, but also gives us science. And if we forage for the fruits, it gives us food, but it also gives us morale. If we forage for millet, it gives us fertility. And if we forage for sea berry, it gives us happiness. Right, so you can forage for any of these foods, but you get a secondary resource for doing it. And then it also impacts which animal eats it, and then you get less of those. These are the most plentiful animals, so I guess we'll go for this one because it feeds both of them. I only seem to have one thing to spend on that at the moment, so... Food primarily comes from foraging, exploring new tiles, plus hunting and scavenging on the map. Later on, farming, herding, and livestock are unlocked. Okay. Food, stone, and wood. Stone can be gathered from adjacent stone deposits and a quarry. Food can be gathered from the band's current tile at a rate dependent on the climate. Bands have a resource carrying capacity for each resource. They can stockpile any amount of a resource, but when they move, any excess beyond the carrying capacity is left behind. Oh, that's an interesting use of like capacity. So we've got the second number in these out of here, and you can go over it, but when you move, you lose the excess. That's really kind of a really simple rule that makes sense in terms of what it's modeling. We've made a breakthrough mastering the skill of controlled fire. We can now make campfires and heated stones. I love making campfires and heated stones. Right, we don't really have any reason to move off of here except maybe to get away from the coyote, which is a threat where we are. So we can deliberately eat the food that the coyote eats. A scouting party from Band Ado is tracking the coyote scavenging prey it leaves behind. Near its den, Osawa Utato sees a prey carcass safely within reach and another dangerously close to where the predator seems to be sleeping. Yeah, sees it. Take that, coyote. These guys don't look like a threat. Look at that cute little lynx. All of the little... There's some boars over there. Okay, so the green stuff is like is a kind of herbivores that we can hunt, and the red ones is things that might are predators higher up the food chain that might eat our food or us. Gather some wood, please, guys. We need some wood. We don't have any wood. We've got a tech tree. It's probably a little bit overwhelming to watch because every turn is introducing a new thing. But it feels like it feels well paced. I don't have any issues with the pacing of this tutorial. It's unlocking things in a good order. I feel like 2/3 of what we're seeing here is very kind of standard UX and things that you would expect from a 4X game. And that's not a criticism. I think one of the first things you need to really do as a developer in any genre is that food web diagram that we interacted with a moment ago. And that's a good thing. It's better for it to be like, you know, 60% the same as another game you've played previously, and then 20, 30, 40% new stuff. Probably less, probably 20. Because that means that people that are familiar with that game genre will already know how to play a large chunk of your game. Tribe science turn drives tribe-wide technological progress. Science per turn, sorry. Boost it with various specialist role, camp amenity, and item types. Select which skill in the tech tree your tribe should learn. Okay, and I feel like I chose the right kind of build for this kind of stream, because maybe we were going to advance some of this stuff a little bit quicker, because we're basically cave scientists. Bone and wood tools or coordinated hunting. Clubs would be good. We can make a maker, or we can get hunters. That arm of the tree takes us up towards rafts and fishing stuff up here. And it looks like you can only get to the fishing branch along the top. But I am going to go down the hunting route for now. So this is a bar that's going to fill up as we do research. And it basically means that we can then target large game species and get more food from them. Which seems like a good shout. We're going to keep... What do we need to do? Study nature so that we get more research. Okay, we've seen that tutorial came up twice. Probably worth noticing. How do I close this again? There's the members of that band, how old they all are. Military. We don't need that right now, so let's ignore it for now. Okay. Yeah, we're going to study nature in turn. Scare it away. Rolat Tito becomes wounded by wildlife. And 50% chance that they become in chronic pain. So we've got sort of like debuff stacks that can apply to specific members of the tribe that make them weaker and stuff. But it would also get courage. Let me just see what these key terms mean. Mental strength, it doesn't tell us what it actually does there. Yeah, whatever. Massive wildfire breaks out. So we're losing one of our members. We can risk another member to get them back, or we can just leave them. I'm going to say their fate still seems sealed. I'd rather lose one character than have a chance to lose neither, but might lose both. Feeling loss averse there. We've got some good events. The events have like... The repercussions of the events are quite clearly telegraphed, but not in a way that feels very forced. Right, so we have all of these events and it's like, do you do this or do you do this? It's reasonably easy to intuit from the options, like what could happen in each event, even though, yeah, and it doesn't feel like it sort of spoils it or anything. You've discovered a natural wonder. Your tribe marvels at its beauty and deems it a spiritual sight. You name it Jubal Uyenat. Devotee bonus effects. We get more tribe culture to bands adjacent to this site. Okay, cool. How do we know? So I went past one over here and it said I'd found a natural wonder and hasn't marked it or anything. I think it was down here somewhere. It named a. That's Jebel Unuwat there. So basically, my tribe got here. They saw this mountain and they were like, that's a special mountain. Oh, it is a special mountain. Look, it's got a hole in the top, and something's going on inside, but it's making smoke come out. Don't know what that is. Never seen it before. Don't know. This is an interesting spot. We've got some wild boar. We're next to the water. I guess that doesn't count as fresh water because it's not a river. We still haven't found unoccupied caves. Definitely a god in there, yeah. Right. We're going to make some campfires this turn. We're going to be hanging around for a little while. So I can only do... That takes 3. Is that 3 years? 3 years to make campfires. Risk from wildlife, risk from exposure, risk of disease, negative happiness. In the middle of the night, a flash flood storms banned Ado's campsite. The next morning, they pick up the pieces. Rebuild quickly, please. Maybe I don't need to build campfires here, but I mean it's already eating up my days, so let's stay. Basically, I'm stuck with one band until we get up to 40 population, and then you're able to split it, presumably into 20 and 20. We've had Nakar died. We've got a bunch of malnourished people. Okay, let's do some foraging then. Oh yeah, because our food is in the negative. Uh-oh. Maybe we should just keep migrating then. What can we forage here? We're losing 25 each turn, so we'll just go for the thing that gives us 25. Coordinated hunting. We've made a breakthrough mastering the skill of coordinated hunting. We can hunt large game species. We can make someone a war master. We can train slings. Urato's been missing. I do not have the option to send out a search party, so yeah, we're basically abandoning them. Look at all the attributes that the characters can have. They can have health, curiosity, discipline, courage, charisma, reputation. They have states. They can have a Neanderthal lineage. Right, how does this work? Run trials to show potential units. Select a potential unit from the proving grounds, train it an empty slot in the fighting force, or merge with an existing unit to increase its XP and stats. Okay, cool. There's some good theming here of like running trials and stuff like that. Camp details, amenities, nothing. I'm not going to have amenities until we've built some campfires. Okay, so that's good. I was a little bit worried that when I switched from building the campfires to foraging, it would cancel progress, but we've made a bit of progress on campfires, and then we can do other things and then come back to the campfires later, which is good. I'm sort of struggling to get enough food per turn at the moment. We're going to forage for horses, which also gives us attack strength. This has got the best food potential, so let's move over there. you really do have to move around and keep looking for new sources of food, which I guess, yeah, is kind of fitting the theme. The mammoth is the only thing that we can hunt for that has enough food for us to not be malnourished. So, sorry, mammoth, but that's what we're doing now. We're foraging, choose skill. Okay, we've done our coordinating hunting. We got our next thing. I think we upgrade our cooking so that because this is basically making our food efficiency better. Seem to need that straight away. It'd be interesting to see, you know, obviously we can't see all of this in the demo, and we shouldn't see all of this in the demo. Like I said at the start, it's better to give, at least in my view, it's better to give everyone the same experience, not do too much modality in a demo, because otherwise you can't, you know, you're going to get feedback from people and early reviews and stuff that kind of clash with each other because people pick different things from each other. But one of the things I'd be interested to see in a larger version of this game is there any kind of setup that means that your first priority won't just be food, right? Because it could make the game a bit repetitive if the first 30, there's a reason why you might focus on that and like rush to get to fishing because that's another food source. But it'd be interesting to see how the early game varies from run to run when you've got some of the other systems and mechanics in place. Hard to really say from here. We will dine on horses. We just stay here for now. Assign role. Tribes assign one person to each specialist role. Each role has multiple effects, usually applying only to their assigned band. Anyone aged 15 or older can be assigned a role. Roles are unlocked via technologies and norms. Okay, cool. This is really neat. So this is kind of similar to the job allocation stuff you have in RimWorld. And I think one of the things this game is already doing that's quite interesting is that we have all of the kind of the way that you interact with the map and menus and stuff is a 4X. It's very much exactly what you would expect if you'd played other 4X games, like some of the bigger ones, the Paradox ones. But because of the theme and the setting, we have this much smaller thing where instead of a unit in a warband being like 6 archers or 3 cavalrymen, they are all individuals and they have their own little story. And that means that we're getting more into kind of like RimWorld, colony simulator, dwarf fortress type territory. And the thing that I'm seeing here that I like is that those things seem very well integrated with each other, and it can be very easy to sort of take elements from one game genre and elements from another game genre and sort of put them together, and they don't quite fit because they're kind of performing clashing roles. But having this is, you know, because this is a 4X that initially isn't very focused on military might and going out and beating stuff up. It's much more focused on, you know, building the start of a civilization, taming nature around you and learning how to extract resources from it. It seems very, very appropriate that we would focus on this level of like developing the community by making this person a hunter and this person a gatherer and all of that kind of stuff. So we're just about getting into that level of detail now, and from what I've seen so far, it all feels like it fits together very, very well. The strength of a role's effects depends on the attributes of the person assigned to it, e.g. the maker's curiosity boosts tribe science per turn. Okay, with more years of experience in a role, a person gets better at it. They get an upgrade every 5 years. Specialists can be unassigned anytime as well as transferred between bands. Okay, so we've got we can pick a role. We don't have Maker yet. We don't have Shaman yet. We don't have Chief yet. But we can assign someone as the War Master. What does that mean? Does it mean... what do these stats mean here? Who's the most brave person? Epeta, the 60-year-old woman, could be a War Master. She's quite brave. I feel like So we're looking for courage or discipline, I guess. Role specific strengths here. It doesn't tell us that maybe there isn't a role specific strength for this. So let me just get that tooltip back up. The tooltip implementation is very good. Highlander, Ranger, Swimmer. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's an actual prerequisite for a War Master. So what we're going to do, I think, is I'm going to choose a I'm going to choose a very young person so that they have more time to train, because they're going to get a bonus every 5 years. So we're going to pick someone very young. It's going to be a sort of... We're going to pick... This guy's... Well, I don't know what this orange is. Maybe it's like their health or something. So I'm not going to go with the low one of this. Itafi, 15-year-old girl, woman, you're going to be the War Master. Long may you do war against the horses and the camels and the trees and apples of the land. You will lead us in victory against the sand, the hills, and whatever is in the top of that hole on that mountain when eventually we need to do a war on it. Sometimes local animals move together as clusters on the map. Predator species can form a dangerous threat. Prey species can form a huntable cluster. They have 3 HP and attacking them decreases their HP by -1. Choose production. We're still not doing great for food. Where's the least bad place to go for food? Up there again? Yeah. At least there we can see different places. Okay. We do some forage. And... these guys are the least endangered. And they make us healthier for some reason. They've got medicinal eyeballs. So I'm not sure if this is true of all sort of native North American tribes, but we learned at school that the tongue was the delicacy when you went out hunting. And if you were like the person that killed the animal, you just ate the tongue there and then because it was the best bit. I don't know if that's true across the board. I imagine it's not a like entire continent thing, but maybe those animals have medicinal tongues and that's why you get a health bonus. This is one of the reasons I'm kind of joking, but I kind of do this when I play board games that have these kind of mechanics where it's like, if you pick this, you also get this bonus, and if you pick this, you also get this bonus, and it's quite abstract. I do find that level of abstraction lets you kind of just fill in a bit in your head and go, well, why does that plant give that bonus? Oh, it must be because of this. And the game doesn't actually need to have that level of story in because your brain just injects it. What's it called? Apophenia. Which we're going to be next month on our Game Dev Book Club podcast, Game Developers Library. We're going to be looking at Tynan Sylvester's book, the guy that made RimWorld, and he talks a lot about apophenia, which is just the human tendency to fill in the gaps, and how you can use apophenia in game design by just leaving some things open to interpretation, and then the player will just read into it. And I think that's very, very prevalent in games like RimWorld and The Sims, where you've got these kind of simulated characters where there's not actually much going on in terms of their relationships, but you can kind of project onto it a little bit. And I'm kind of finding myself doing that with this game as I play it. There's like intentional gaps where something's a little bit abstract and I can just kind of make up my own reason why that's happening. I find that quite satisfying and engaging. You've encountered Band La from a previous unmet people, the Neanderthals. They are different, shorter and stockier, with sloping foreheads, wide noses and weird voices. You've encountered type band core from a previous unmet people, the Stars tribe. Stars and moons? I think we're going to get along. Don't quote me on that later on where we end up engaged in a heated battle that lasts for hundreds of years. But stars and moons, it's destined. We're star-crossed lovers, or moon-crossed lovers. Star and moon-crossed lovers. All of the different types of Pokemon. They don't look too different from us, but our priorities are not the same. We've got different priorities. It's just not going to work out. It's not you, it's me. You're a star. You're a star guy, and I'm a moon girl. Where are we? Sorry. We've got so many events happening. In the middle of the night, a flash flood storms Band Ado's campsite. The next morning, they pick up the pieces. Make do with what remains. Not sure what that option meant. How are we doing for food? We're not doing good. It's not a good time. We've just got to spend all the time foraging. Some of them. Maybe at some point we're going to get better at foraging, and then we'll have more than one foraging point. At some point we're going to get domestication points, and we can just be like, right, I'm a mammoth farmer now. There's just a time in every tribe's history where you need to become a mammoth farmer. State. Oh, you right click on... Oh, that was a part of the UX that was confusing me a little bit. Is sometimes you end... click on one of the migratory herds around... Okay, cool. Thank you. I didn't realize that. So these... I thought these herds just sort of played into the general food web, but they're a separate thing. The Neanderthals are attacking us. That's lovely. I think we're going to die. I think we're going to die. Mega Turtles. I've never read Romeo and Juliet, but my understanding of it is that it's the original rom-com where, you know, boy meets girl, boy and girl initially don't like each other, but then by the end of the film, they're the best of pals and they have a happy life together for the rest of it. I never saw the end, but that was my understanding of what happens in Romeo and Juliet, and that's why Star-Crossed Lovers is a joyful, prosperous, and a term that describes a joyful, prosperous, and lasting romance. Battle tutorial time. Battles are fully automated. Controls are at the bottom center of the screen. Left click next step to manually go through each step of the battle, or click autoplay to watch it all unfold. Adjust animation speed if needed. Okay. Every turn, a unit from each team will attack an enemy. Attack strength is deducted from the unit's morale. When a unit's morale reaches 0, it will retreat. Okay. Each hit on a unit has a probability of causing an injury. So those are going to be like those little debuffs that last, I guess. Characters with more courage are more likely to get injured. Autoplay. So we got 2 stacks of... Yes, we beat them. Okay, so it's auto-battling, and it looks like you can pause and withdraw as well. So it kind of feels like it's happening at the same sort of level of like when you play Risk. And it's just like, you've got this many, you've got this many, and we just kind of cycle through them rolling against each other. But in this case, we do actually have a stack of kind of like almost like cards of our units that have their own sort of abilities and tendencies and stuff like that. But I just did what I would do in a natural playthrough of this game, which was hedge my bets by just making everyone fight. And I think that's probably what I would do in the early stages of this game in terms of strategy, until I learned that that was bad. With both sides evenly matched, the battle grinds to a halt. Everyone backs off exhausted. We will scold our fighters to train harder, which will make them unhappy, but it will give us training points so that we can make some better fighters. Because we can't have these Neanderthals coming along with their differently shaped heads, their different voices. We can't have them coming along and causing so much trauma that we develop an innate ability to recognize faces in things because we're scared of things that look like humans. That would be bad. Well, imagine if we had that and it lasted for millions of years. I don't know if you've heard that theory that it's like what there's an evopsych theory that the reason why humans are scared of uncanny things that look like humans but aren't humans is because of these interactions with like adjacent types of people that weren't quite the same species. So this is used to sort of explain. It's not necessarily like a theory that holds much weight, but it's one of the explanations you can use of why we are scared of things like clowns and mimes, human statues, things that our brain registers as being a person but not quite right. There are probably loads of other explanations for that you could come up with, but this period in our sort of evolutionary history is maybe one of the reasons for that being a tendency that we have in our brains. They attacked our campsite, but the battle was a stalemate. They could not make us retreat. Damn straight. Oh no, the Fire Nation. Dawn in the chat was just literally just talking about the Neanderthal nation, and now the Fire Nation from Avatar have literally shown up. They don't look too different from us, but our priorities are not the same. Okay. Out in the wilderness, Usawa and Pufaf are deep in conversation when there's a noise in the distance. They take cover and peek out. It's a cougar behaving strangely. What do? I've had some bad experiences with some cougars that behave strangely. Let me tell you that. There's a 50% chance that either of them could get wounded by wildlife. They could both get wounded by wildlife. But they do get courage and curiosity out of it. Do it. Do it. Okay, so we're going to move over here and we're going to start hunting these. So thanks, Dev, in the chat for pointing out where I was missing a mechanic. Because so these tribes are ones you can actually click on to interact with separately from the foraging resource web. That's why they are kind of framed the same way as these other opportunity markers. It's like, so the way the game works is you have all of these actions that you can always do if they're not grayed out, and then you have these other actions that exist just on the map and are opportunities, and that's like a separate type of thing. So I can click on here, I can hunt that herd. Each tribe has 3 ancestral clans and each person belongs to one clan. Each clan elects its own clan head, out of your control, shown in the pinned characters on the top right. Their reputation contributes to the clan's influence. Each clan is a relationship with the other clans. Negative clan opinion between 2 clans reduces production of bands led by these clans. Okay, so they want to stay friends. Positive opinion above 100 unlocks powerful synergy bonuses. You can spend culture to improve clan-clan relationships. So who have we got up here then? We've got War Master Itafe, who's 18 now. 3 years a War Master. Helped see off those stinky Neanderthals a year or so back when we were down south in that other hexagon. Brave Itafe. We've got Otatu, who is a trader. That's what this little banner with the swappy symbol means. We've got Epeta, who's a seer. I'm not sure. Let me see what they do. Not sure what seers really do yet. I think there might be something to do with science and research, but not sure. We've got Over here, just under the chat that you can't quite see, is a sage. Oh no, the sages are focused on learning and research, so I'm not sure how they differ from seers, but we'll see. We can manage the clans here. Oh, after a successful hunt, an argument erupts between the traders and the seers clan who should get the credit. I mean, we're very biased towards seers here because that's what we chose at the beginning. Clans, relationship. Sages have the majority influence. So these guys seem to be the most unhappy. So we're going to click on mediate. Okay, so this is the relationship between this and this. Okay, so the traders and the sages aren't happy. And that mediate button costs 10 of... So I think one small UX design thing here, I think, let me just click so that it stays. I think maybe having the cost here is hiding it a little bit. Like, we're very, very used to sort of buttons where it's like got 100 gold or 20 research points on the button. And because I think the way most people read these kind of tooltips is once we know what the rule is, we're maybe not going to read the tooltip every time. So I'm not sure about having the price buried in there. Like, I think it might be easier for people to have the culture symbol and 10 as a little price amended here. You could still have it here as well, but it's just very easy to get click happy and click on these without really realizing that they cost anything. Or maybe when we click on it, we need to have a little -10 of that symbol come up as well. So when we spend a resource, it just very clearly indicates that it's being spent, because there's a lot to take in here. And that just seems like maybe a very small thing that might save people some grief. Okay, we've spent some of our culture so that everyone's less pissed off with each other in the clan. That's good. That's what culture's for. We're gonna hunt some more piggies. And now we've got a food surplus. We're not gonna... Well, yeah, let's hunt them. Let's hunt those piggies till there's no more. And that means that we can focus on doing some other stuff. So we're going to... we're going to study some nature. We just want to get more research. I want more research. I want more peoples. We're starting to learn about all of the other tribes that are around, so we need to be able to defend from them. But we also need to grow. Because if we're bigger, if we've got more dudes than them, then it doesn't really matter if they attack us, because even if they're better equipped, we can probably still win. You've encountered Band Rag from a previously unmet people, the Storm Tribe. They don't look too different from us, but our priorities are not the same. A massive wildfire breaks out. The steppe climate is not helping. Okay, maybe we shouldn't stay here. As everyone starts to flee, Nalel Nakar realizes that Tito is nowhere to be found. I'm sorry, Tito. Tito is one of the clan heads. Okay, so I'm going to make this choice, but I'm going to make it on the basis of, like, this is what I think the characters would do, rather than, like, I'm in charge and I decide what happens. I think a 26-year-old male would rush to help the 61-year-old clan elder who is, like, the head of the sages, so I'm going to do that. This system with the different characters that are heads of different things is also reminding me quite a lot of King of Dragon Pass. In that you've got like SimCity style advisors that come to you and they're like, oh, the God of Mischief says that you should do this and stuff like that. And I like that we've got all of these levels. We've got like the individuals in the tribe. We've also got like the leaders of different interests within the tribe. That makes it very interesting because you're dealing with all of the stuff that's around you in terms of wildlife and other factions. You're also dealing with like internal conflicts, and there's a lot here to the point where it could be overwhelming, but I think the level of complexity is probably just about right for, you know, people that like these games. And the people you really need to design for in terms of making all the UX work and making the onboarding work will be people that love the theme but haven't played one of these games before, right? Because you've always got an audience that are attracted by the mechanical genre and play everything in that space, and then the audience that are attracted by like the art and the theme and stuff, and they're the ones who are going to be like, I don't understand any of this. But because so much of it is so closely mapped to what we would expect it to be about, I mean, it just all kind of unfolds, and it's like, yeah, that makes sense that this would be a thing you would model in this game, you know? It's not, we're not suddenly going, and now we need to do the dragon riding mini game. You know, that would be out of place. We don't have training points, so we can't hunt that. It's a little bit confusing that they're called training points. Right, what do we need to stock up on? Let's get some wood, just because we don't have any. I mean, overwhelming is a selling point of the genre, yeah. I mean, it's kind of that... You do look at the screenshots of games and you judge the complexity based on what you can see in the screenshots, and this is kind of pretty well... feels heavy when you just look at the screen. I mean, one thing I thought the first moment when I opened this is some of the stuff, like up here, could be hidden for like 1 or 2 years, just so that you gradually introduce the thing so that it's not initially overwhelming when you open up the game or the demo. Itafi Olera has accumulated experience as the tribe's war master. Okay, so our war master gets a skill. They can become a brave, who has more courage. They can become a swimmer, who is better morale when they are on the coast. They can become a Highlander. Is this a hill? Are we on a hill now? Yeah, we're on a hill now. Let's go for Highlander. Okay. Diplomacy with the Moon Tribe. Oh no, the Flame Tribe, sorry, with the Moon Tribe. Some of these feel like they come out of nowhere a little bit. So where did that come from? We can cook! Let them cook. Okay, make deal. Guys, just gonna give you some wood as a gift. They're the Fire Tribe. I bet they love wood. They can't get enough of it. Let's get some tools. We'll go back in the tree a little bit, get some tools. So Squilpy, are you talking about this font? This one? Yeah, it does feel like it could be a bit off-putting. I don't know. I am inclined to agree. It's one of those things that a lot of situations, if I saw that, I would think it was kind of aimed at younger, but it kind of fits the theme so well. But there might be other things that do fit the theme in a slightly better way. And it's one of those things where I couldn't really tell you without just sitting down with a list of 20 quote-unquote caveman fonts and picking one out, you know? As Band Ado corners the boar cluster, Itafi Olera sees a chance to trap a few extra animals. Itafi could lose half of their health. But for 20 extra food. I don't think it's worth it. 20 extra food for my War Master to lose half of their health. No siree. Let's gather some wood. I think we might have to check out what that opportunity is in a minute. We can make some clubs. Sauron loves adrenaline, fighting and hunting, but the others wish he would stick around and help at the campsite. Keep hunting and fighting or focus on work. Well, we're going to keep you on work. Let's keep you... Let's get these campfires built, because we never finished doing that. We could become the people who domesticate other species. That might be first. And because we've got that Highlander thing for our war leader, I think maybe we should try and migrate over here, but we don't have a way of doing it at the moment because everyone's in our way. So we're going to start moving this way so that we don't get locked in, I think. We're going to make someone the maker now. And it doesn't have anything about role-specific strengths, so let's have a look at the information for maker. They don't have any of the strengths yet because they would need cultivator, herder, or delver. Okay, so we're just going to... We're going to use the same logic before. As when we make a specialist, we want them to be relatively young, so they've got more years of life to sort of put their time into it. These are all in their 30s. Edilil is 27. Ibira is 19. Navid, 21. I'm going to go with Navid because they're relatively young. Their health is quite high. You're a maker now. You're a maker now, Navid. Look at him. I like these portraits. Okay. We're going to start moving again. So we're going to try and get out of this little trapped in thing. Your scouts come across a useful opportunity. Do they get stone or training point? Let's go for the training points. What can we do with them? It says we've only got them this turn. Where can I use them? Training. Have some caves to the southeast. Okay, literally not on the map yet, I think. How do I use these training points? Just got training points that I can only use this term, so I'm trying not to waste them. I don't actually know where I can use them. I've used them before, but it was in a specific context that I can't get back to now. So there's not enough training points to run trials. Okay, well, we'll forget about that for now then. Training points per turn is shown right above the military tab. There. Yeah, the event said I got 3 that I could use this turn, but I don't have any. Navid. Oh, we got them next turn. So I just used one of the training points then to... I used one of the training points to go and find Navid. Now we've got 2 left, so I'm going to run some trials. Get some slings. And we'll get some clubs. Okay. So I'll leave that for now. I think I can hold those in place, I guess. Over this... Can't fight those guys. Keep moving. This would be a good area for us. Right, we need some food. We're not doing well for food. Oh, it's Rag of the Storm Tribe. What are they like? What are they like? Right, I don't have enough training points. I've still basically only got brawlers as my unit types. When I get more training points, I can convert some of these into slings and clubs, which we need to do soon. Put it on autoplay. Don't fast. They got 25. Oof. Not sure what happened. Just beat us up a load. Right, maybe we stay here for a little while. We hunt some boar. We start standing guard. We've got an axe now. That's good. We've got we can... Okay, we can invest worship points in a spiritual site to unlock bonuses. You can invest worship points in a spiritual site only if your tribe has a band adjacent to it. Okay. This seems like a very good spot for us to occupy on the map. Everyone else is over there at the moment. We've got this little peninsula, and it's all grassy hills. We've got a war master who is stronger on hills and next to water. And we're right next to Jebel Uyenat, which is... We can start, like, worshipping the volcano living here. And they've only got one route of attack to come and bother us. I think this might be a good shout. Unless we learn that this isn't a peninsula and it's actually a land bridge over to the realm of horrible Neanderthals over here. But we'll find out. We'll find out. Let's... we do not have any of these kind of like worship points. Worship points invested in us. This tooltip would be helpful if I knew how I got them. Because it tells me what they're for, which I know what they're for because I'm on the menu where I have that context, but I don't know where I would get them. So basically we're going to be looking out for ways to get that resource next, that kind of prayer resource, so we can use it here. But for the time being, we want to finish our campfires because we still haven't done that. So let's stay where we are. And if we can hunt a herd as well. And now we're choosing a new maker, I think. So curious, it did say about adopting cultural norms. I just rushed through it a little bit, so I need to go and find out where that is. Okay, we're gonna have Sauron as a maker, I think. And then have a look here. Cultural norms, here we go. So these basically... Cultural norms give tribe wide bonuses. They enable different kinds of playstyles: aggressive, diplomatic, tall, wide. You can spend accumulated tribe culture to adopt norms. So I'm guessing when I pick one of these, I'm sort of committing to a strategic playstyle, and then I'll get rewarded for conforming to that, which is a very neat way of making it feel like you are actually kind of role-playing as a kind of culture with a particular focus, rather than just switching every single turn based on the situation around you. It's a very good way to like make the strategy game, like force strategy in the strategy game by making you commit to something and then rewarding you for it. I like that. Okay, so we can choose, I think, any of these by the looks of it. Diligence. Okay, that's it. I think that's the only choice I get out of all of those. I thought it was going to be like one from each set, but we've got diligence, fine, whatever. Strike a predator threat. Let's do that here. What would we need to do here? Do this? We don't have. We need training points to. Training feels like a weird term for it because you use it in lots of different places. I feel like this resource should be called something a little bit vaguer, like might or something, because you use it to like fight off predators. You use it to train characters and stuff like that. It's got a very broad range of uses, and fighting off a predator doesn't feel like you're training to do it, because you're not training to like convert a character into another type of character, which is what I would think training is exclusively used for. So I'm not sure about that. It might just be the name given to that icon. Let's get some more boar. We can't do that at the moment. Why can't we do it? Because we need training points. Okay. So yeah, I feel like this is might or something like that in terms of the terminology, but I'm not sure. We'll forage for some piggies here. And we're gonna become the domestication farmer, guys. We're gonna do it. We're not gonna move from where we are at the moment. We're quite happy here, so I'm gonna turn off our movement notification. Esero is eager to stand out as productive, but her competitiveness alienates some of her peers. Does she double down on work or adjust her pace to the other? Make an impression. Let's do it. You can be whatever. Maybe you'll be the chief one day when we decide to have one, which we haven't yet. Right, I have a training point. I've got a goal to strike a predator threat, and I need to train 2 new units. We need to get more training points. That's the thing we need to do. So, which of these options? Okay, we're going to start focusing on training a little bit more, and then we're going to spend a point every so often to kill some extra animals, so that we don't run out of food. Maybe we'll do one now. But let's focus on training so that we can build up our training points, because most of the things we need to do at the moment require us to have training points. If we get attacked again, we need some characters upgraded from brawlers to having slings and clubs. We don't have that yet. Out in the wilderness, Saron is teaching Aruruno about gathering herbs. A lynx catches them by surprise. They're trapped and it seems fixated on the child. What should Saron do? Now, Saron is one of our makers. I'm gonna let them try and save their child. They could use 90 of their health? Or the child could lose 90 of their health. Saron would lose reputation and courage for being a coward. Okay. Got a 25% chance to not lose the health, and they are going to gain the reputation for attempting. So we're going to go with do the noble thing. Who is more talented? What started as a playful disagreement between Itafi Olera and Angeli Eperata escalated into a tense dispute between the Sages and Seers clans. Should Ban Eidos host a feast to smooth over the conflicts? One thing I want to call out, because we've had a few sort of nitpicky things about the art direction and stuff. I really like these little diagrams. that you've got here. And a thing that you could do to make the whole thing feel a bit more coherent is this kind of like glowy golden thing that you have around these little, I called them diagrams, these icons that you use for types of event. Maybe there's nowhere else in the interface where that exists. You've got this kind of glowy fire up here, but maybe this effect could be used for certain other things, like the headers on important stuff that you want people to pay attention to, because it would just make the whole thing look more coherent as well. You know, like maybe the currently selected icon has that kind of gold shimmery colorway. Maybe the text at the top of here, I don't know, but it feels like you've got a style there of that line that just isn't used anywhere else in the whole of the graphic design, and you might be able to kind of make everything feel more coherent by putting that somewhere else. But I do kind of agree with what someone said in the chat a minute ago of like, particularly this cartoony wood, it does. Bloons Tower Defense is a good reference point, that it does feel a little bit too kind of going in that direction of cartoony. Who is more talented? Okay, we host feast at Band Ado, or let the dispute play out. Chance for them to get injured and the sages and seers to get annoyed with each other, or we lose some food and they could both become more charismatic. Oh, let's do it. We can get the food back. Want some more boar. Clan dispute. After a successful hunt, an argument erupts between the Sages clan and the Traders clan. I mean, we've got a sage in charge of the clan, so let's kind of towards appeasing the traders for now. Let's just go and have a look at our clan relationships at the moment. We can spend 10 at the moment to improve some of these relationships. So let's mediate the traders and sages so that they're not as grumpy. And then when we get another point on this, we should do the same with the traders and the seers. Chris, I'm having a good time with it. This is definitely kind of in the category of stuff I would just play for fun, which is like, you know, game has to be pretty far along for that. And I think, you know, this has been tested quite a lot by other people to get to this stage already. So, and I knew that before playing it, so I was already kind of expecting it to be pretty good. And like, so far the things we found that are confusing or don't look great are very, very minor things. Like, I think this is publishable as it is, you know. You're in that kind of last 10% of time where the things you're probably tweaking at this stage will be, you know, the developer Curious Dynamics, who's in the chat at the moment, will have a community that are playtesting this already, and some of those people will be absolute sickos that have played this for maybe 100 hours already, and the feedback from those people will be important to deal with at some point, because you don't want a game that becomes like really broken for players that get super deep into it. That's not necessarily the thing that you would prioritize straight off the bat. So you're now in the kind of the danger zone of balancing. You've got to do like making sure the onboarding of the game is good, making sure it looks appealing, but also making sure you don't neglect what the game is like for players that play it for a very long time. And hopefully you're in a place where you've got some of those now and you can sort of respond specifically to them. Yeah, I'm really impressed with everything I've seen here so far. Well, the thing that I like about it is it's not Civ, right? I love Civ games mechanically, but the fantasy of Civ has never, like the whole kind of goofy, oh, I can be an Aztec king in the modern age, and like I guess there's something that grates me about Civ because of that idea that like the modern period is like would be the same for the ancient Egyptians as it is for the Europeans and stuff like that. There's something a bit silly about how the development in Civ works, and so having a 4X that is more focused on a very specific type of fantasy or setting is good in my books, because I don't really like how broad Civ tries to be with its use of like historical elements and like projecting them into the future and stuff like that. And it also helps to solve the problem of like, how do you make a smaller scale 4X as an indie developer? Well, you have to have a smaller focus. And what we've done here is we've drilled into just like a very specific period of human history. And then instead of having that breadth of content of like all these different cultures and civilizations, instead we've got like a depth of content at the level of like all of the different traits that characters within the tribe can get and stuff, because it's much more granular. You know, you're not moving a warband around with 6 archers and 2 shaman and you know, a tank in. You're moving around a group of named individuals with a history of like proficiency, things they've invested their time in, you know, status that they've gained by doing things and not doing other certain things. And that means that you've got this much more granular, dwarf fortressy, kind of rimworldy management of the individuals within the tribe. You don't have the rimworld thing where you see them all moving around, but within that kind of warband or, you know, unit moving around on the map, there's a lot of kind of more micro simulation going on that you don't get in a Civ game. So it's really neat, because when you've got like a genre of big games, I was talking at the start of this stream about how the reason we get relatively few indie 4X games is because the genre is so dominated by the big polished ones that come out of Paradox. And the expectation is for players of that game that you're going to get this kind of multiplayer grand strategy game where you're playing against lots of computer controlled players that are just mimics of other other humans. And so to make an indie smaller scale 4X, you have to remodel the genre to be a single player genre. Similar to what you have to do with other types of, like, historically there are a lot of strategy game genres that have been built around multiplayer. 4X has been built around multiplayer. Like the RTS in the form of Warcraft and Starcraft has been built around multiplayer. And it doesn't make sense to try and make a multiplayer game that aims to be an esport or something like that as an indie dev. So you have to take these genres that were originally thought of as these big multiplayer video game equivalents to, you know, tabletop war game or strategy games like Warhammer and stuff like that, or the board game Civilization, which is what the video game comes from, and then like work out how to turn these into single player experiences, which has a slightly different set of priorities then. And the tendency when you need to do that, when you take a bigger genre of video games that tends to be made by AAA studios or AA studios, and you try and make the indie version, is to just, like, the bad way of doing that is just to make a smaller version that doesn't adjust the design in any sort of way. The good way of doing that is making a smaller version that takes away some of the features but replaces them with depth elsewhere, which is what we're getting here in abundance, I would say. There's a lot of I think there's what I'm seeing from this game. We can go through and we can nitpick this font or this color, and we can find all these little things that we might improve about how it's presented and the creative direction and stuff like that. But what I'm really seeing from this game as a project is that the developer is being incredibly generous with the amount of time and effort they put in, but they're also being sensible about where they put it. So we've got all of this depth that is helping to create the simulation of like managing a tribe, and it all kind of goes where you would expect it to, you know, in terms of developing the kind of having the tribal relationship of like, oh, the seers and the traders aren't getting on, we need to go and mediate that, and like developing the life story of the different characters so that you can build up their skills in different areas. All of the depth that's been added to the 4X in this game is in the right places. It's in the places that help to build up the fantasy of this particular setting, rather than it being like a very broad civilization game, or, you know, the other grand strategy games I talked about, like Age of Wonders, which is still at its heart a military strategy of conquest. This obviously has that element in, but it seems much more weighted towards the hunter-gatherer stuff and the, you know, gradually deciding what type of civilization your particular band are leaning towards. So yeah, I'm just really impressed with everything here. I think it's really, really solid. Itafi Olera our War Master has leveled up again. Been War Master since she was 15. 30 now. We can give her more reputation or wise. So you can see here that the other options I would have got earlier have been replaced by reputation as just like a standard thing. I'm going to go for wise first. We're running out of food, so we're going to hunt some boar. We've got another dispute. We need to mediate that relationship now. And another thing that's worth bringing up as well, because I think a couple of people have been talking about this in the chat. So Pierre Playsto has said something, someone else earlier said something about population modeling. If you look up quotes with Sid Meier, who made Civilization and Pirates and stuff like that, one of the things that he says is that, and obviously this doesn't mean like, hey, Sid Meier said this, so everyone needs to do it, but I think it's revealing. Sid Meier said that when he creates his games, he takes all of the research from them from children's books. And that is because in his mind, that is like the level of detail you need to just sort of tap into people's preconceived notions of that thing. And I think that's interesting because in order for like a simulation of a thing to be playable, it does need to some degree tap into what people already know. So rather than simulating how things really work, you have to simulate like the cartoon baby version of it. And that doesn't mean that the game can't then have these unusual, unexpected things that people don't know about yet. But they need to be like the minority thing because the hook needs to be kind of what people already know about the kind of about the thing that's being simulated. I think that's really interesting that like Sid Meier, who is like considered to be like, you know, the granddad of this genre really, is kind of that's the way he kind of sees that problem of like the level of how much you're simulating or how much you're drawing on reality in these games. Curiosity. Bullet Teto likes to... one very small UX thing I would say here as well is when we have these options, if you can kind of slightly darken everything that's not relevant at that moment, it makes it very easy to a lot easier to focus on this. And some of these decisions I might actually want to, you know, like for example in this situation, Tito is not what, yeah, Bullet Tito is this guy, currently the clan head by the looks of things. Or is it the character that's being referenced here? That's the leader, isn't it? But basically, anything that's not relevant to making the decision in this event, it would be kind of good to throw a darkener behind it. I know that you have that in other areas of the game, but it's just not implemented on these kind of event cards. Do you develop your curiosity or focus on work? Yeah, you could. Well, let's develop your curiosity a little bit. So that was just the kind of character focus coming up for the decision we were making there, which is good. It's kind of awareness of like what information the player needs at any given time. Right, have we got any? We've got a worship point now, so we're gonna. Can we put that into Jebel? To worship Jebel, we need to have a band adjacent to the site and a claimed monument adjacent to the site. Okay. So we don't have a monument. Oh, Gnagnar. The Twain... I don't know if you've looked this up before. there's a really cool language. I think it was in somewhere in South America. I can't remember what it's called, but there was a language discovered where things were recorded with string. I don't know if you've ever heard of this. I mean, if someone can like Google it and post it in the chat so other people can look it up. Really, really interesting. It was basically like a, I don't know, some sort of numerical system for recording people's debts and stuff like that. And it was knots tied in string that would branch. So it's like a non-linear language that goes back 1,000 or more years that is used for recording like branches of relationships and numbers on those branches. It's like, I don't know, early computing. Really cool. Yeah, I don't think we actually know for certain what it was used for, but they kind of, I think the dominant theory is that it was used for like recording economic information and debts and stuff like that. But yeah, knots, branches off the knots, colors in the knots as well of the twine used. Yeah. Yeah, I think there is a sweet spot of like simulating something in an abstract way without like adding to sort of bad mythologies of the thing, right? I think like Mini Metro is a really good example of that. Mini Metro has been like really kind of lauded by urban planners for being like a really good simulation of the problem that they deal with. But it doesn't, you know, it's completely abstract and it's just lines and shapes. Okay, we're about to get attacked. These guys are coming over to us, so we need to start standing guard or training. We do have some training points, so maybe we can make some slings now. Sauron, Volbep, the Maker. We're going to make you a cultivator. You're going to make all our tools that we use to tame the mammoths. Okay, so let's go to our military tab. I think it might be too late to do this now, but we can at least start to train some slings. So we're not all... We can, when they come for us, we can at least throw some rocks at them now. We need to focus our production on standing guard now, I think. And... maybe we can do some diplomacy with these guys so that they won't attack us. Is that a thing? Stock up on food. Let's see what's going on with my clans again. Everyone's... don't have too much grief. Yeah, that's okay at the moment. Kipu. Ah, hello. They want to give us quartz in exchange for food. Look, I'm not that sure I don't really want quartz. But we do have a bad relationship with you, so I feel like we should just accept the deal. And it is the Stars tribe, so if we want to be friendly with anyone... okay, we can start domesticating some species. They've got a dispute. I've only got one option, so, you know, these guys are going to get injured and the clans are going to get upset with each other again. Can't mediate that yet. Don't have enough resources. Stealing the prey from the animals over there. Right, we've started... we can start trying to domesticate species now. And that will make it easy to forage these, I guess. But we need to just concentrate on not running out of food for now. Crop cultivation next. So what I would really like for my clan is to get my population up to 40, split the tribe, send a tribe over here and just start growing food over here. And then defend the peninsula from over here, assuming that it is a peninsula and not a land bridge. But I don't really want to go wandering around too much, because if I go up that way to explore and the Star Tribe move down here, I'm going to be totally stuck. So I think this is the best place to stay for now. Domesticate some piggies. Don't know how that works. I'm just going to do it and see what happens. We're completely out of food now. So we'll hunt those guys. We'll domesticate some more piggies. So there's some mechanics here that I don't really understand as I'm using them, but that is not really a fault of the game. It's really more just, you know, I'm only playing this for 2 or 3 hours on a stream. I want to see as much as I can. I'm rushing through the explanations for things. It feels like everything's reasonably well explained. I think sometimes there's just a little bit too much on screen and we need to like hide some stuff at certain points, or like at least kind of throw a vignette behind the focal point. So that, and you had that all the way through the tutorial at the start, when there was like a explicit tutorial, it was much more, look at this now, we're going to darken the background. And I think maybe a little bit more of that in some places would be helpful. But it's not super important. You don't need to design a game like this for like someone that's overwhelmed by what you see on the screen now, because people that play these games are used to that. What I am liking is just the density of decisions, right? And I know some of you would have been in the chat a couple of weeks ago when I played Feudums, which was that really interesting, always online kind of medieval 4X thing. And that game plays in ticks, so you're playing it online with other people like an MMO, and you can just kind of leave it for half a day and come back, and a game lasts for about a week or 10 days or something like that. That was really neat. It had a beautiful interface. Loads of the simulation I could see in the game was really cool, but at the start of the game, for the first hour or so of the game, there just weren't many decisions to actually make. You could see all of the systems, but because it was kind of a little bit more of a kind of trad 4X that was more focused on sending out warbands and doing military stuff, there just wasn't a very high density of decisions to make in the early part of the game. And that for me is really, really crucial. This game is doing very, very well in that regard. Itafi has leveled up again. I'm gonna... What does Ranger do? Oh, I didn't check. They're just a Ranger now. I think it's probably benefits in woodlands or something. Kavalnaka sees the predator just in time. The lynx seems ravenous. Scare it away at great cost. We don't have enough food to bribe it, or whatever it is we're doing there, so... Take a risk for the extra food there. Do some foraging. We're foraging for pigs, and because they're domesticated, we get an extra... Those are domesticated, and that means that we get a bonus to how many food we get when we forage them. I think that's what's happening here. Right. The Storm Tribe. Mate. What are you doing? Why are you being a jerk? So it's very focused on like morale and injury, so you don't just like flat out lose a bunch of your people when they have a fight. It is much more like they slink away with some injuries that make them worse at things, which I think is a very good design decision in this type of game, because when you have like resources that double up as multiple things and you lose them, the kind of punitive feeling of that is really, really bad. And it can work sometimes. Like if you've ever played Advance Wars, the way that Advance Wars works is units' kind of ability to attack is based on how many units are still alive within that army. But you see this a lot in turn-based games. It's like it in Dungeons and Dragons. It's like it in like JRPGs with turn-based combat. The action economy of like taking away someone's unit when they've got like, if you've got a party of 4 and someone is knocked out, that is like the most devastating thing that can happen. And it's not just because that person is like 25% of your cumulative health bar for your whole party or your whole army or whatever. It's because it also takes away your ability to do anything. So your ability to heal, your ability to do damage is now reduced by a quarter as well. So it's kind of like a double punishment of like you lose, you're closer to defeat because you've lost that chunk of health that was represented by that person, but you're also closer to defeat because you can't do as much. That is an okay kind of balancing decision in a game that is over very quickly, where you can have like, you know, cumulative effects of getting damage and taking damage. But in a very long game like this, it makes more sense for it to be just like a little bit softer touch in terms of like what happens when you get beaten up. Okay, so we've been forced to explore the rest of the peninsula, and it is definitely a peninsula now. We do want to go back there though, because our mountain is there, but we can't build the monument to it yet anyway, I don't think. Rebuild quickly. Hunt those pigs. Just always taking the risky option with hunting the pigs. We'll try and domesticate some more stuff. We can domesticate these plants. Let's domesticate the sweet potato. So we didn't... This blue bar is the progress on doing that. We didn't finish it on pigs. Okay, that makes sense. Brave. Ilali Olera. Is that someone? Someone rescue. We're not doing great. We've only got 26 people at the moment. They're going to just keep herding us over there. Very interesting that a lot of the kind of character development options are like, do they spend time with the tribe and fit in, or do they do this thing that makes them a weirdo? Because that is like a big part of the theory of like neurodiversity and why humans are so different from each other is to do with that. It's like, because we are a social species, we benefit from having groups with very different types of minds in the same group, and that is kind of how we have evolved to do stuff like science and art and everything. And it's very interesting that a lot of these choices that we get about the characters are basically, do we force conformity on the characters so that they just blend in with the group, or do we encourage them to do this thing that maybe makes them a bit lonely, but, you know, develop some other skill that they have? And that very kind of, I don't know, that kind of fits with my sort of anthropological understanding of these things, I guess. Not that I'm an expert on that. We've got a new war master, is that right? We've got a new war master. Does that mean the other one died, or we've already got one? Okay, so we've got lots of unhealthy people in the tribe at the moment. Let's pick a healthy person to be a war master. And we'll be this 40-year-old here. I do most of these specialism pickings basically just based on how old they are and how many years they've got left. It seems like the most logical way to do it most of the time. Have we finished domesticating that plant? I think we have. We've got worship points that we can't use. Okay, we need to get back over here and build a monument, but the Storm Tribe have got us trapped. Pesky Storm Tribe. Climate stability has returned. The Steam page is playing the music, is that true? I can't hear it. I might have it open on the website. Yeah, I do. Okay. And we'll mute that so that it doesn't happen again. Just that actually. Probably makes more sense. Okay, we can grow crops. Maybe we need to do that. Maybe we need to do something to make ourselves stronger. I don't really know. Farm. 14 years to build a farm. We need wood and stone, and we don't have that. Do we have any wood and stone? Where do I see it? Is it up here? Oh, here it is. So we would need 7 wood and 8 stone. So we're going to just start gathering what we need, I guess. Not a lot. There's not a lot of it around. Oh, maybe, yeah, maybe we should do the... Let's do the tool racks first so that we can do all of the other things quicker. Ah, the Sun Tribe. Sun and Moon could go either way. Okay, we've got 6 turns to build our tool racks. I guess we keep using our training points to fight these predators, and then we will start using training points to build up a little army of sorts. Herder. We just want to pass a few years staying in place, trying not to die. Scavenging the prey of the predators around us, because that seemed to be the safest way of getting extra food. Yeah. Let's do some foraging now to stock up a little bit. Oh, this is not a good place for food. We're not in a good place. Okay, let's see what we can do instead. Nothing here that we can domesticate in a good way. Maybe we've still got time to domesticate the piggy. I don't think I finished domesticating it before. I'm not sure if that full blue bar meant that I'd already domesticated it or not. I mean, it's only put that up from 7 to 8. So the domestication is basically just upgrading how many resources you get from scavenging that particular type of thing. But it's not a massive amount. Got rid of those lynxes. Small victories. Keep on the tool racks. We're going to keep going back and forth between the tool racks and food. We've got slightly more food income from small game now. Domestication gives you a separate item. Check it out on the campsite details. Last one on the right. Ah, okay. Pigs domesticated from boar or peccary. Okay, so domesticating an animal does give you a bonus to foraging or hunting the animal because you know about the animal. But the domesticated ones are here, which are producing food. Okay, that's cool. So that means that the food web, we don't have, if we want to just domesticate stuff that's in the food web, that means we're kind of adding it to our little farm. We could domesticate ferret. Okay, so that's the more that we domesticate, the more sort of like passive food income we get. Let's invent archery. We've been really doing bad at fighting, so if we get archery, maybe we can use that for hunting and for fighting. We're nearly done with our tool racks. Let's get the tool racks finished before we try and domesticate anything else, actually. Surely they'll come back eventually. I'm down to 17 in the tribe. Not looking good. Specialist War Master. Korak. I'll go for the young one. And done there. Finish these tool racks. We've got 3 points, so let's... That means we can train clubs now. Cool. Okay, we've got a slightly more disciplined military of sorts now. See what happened now. We built the tool racks, and that means if we go on the camp, we've now got tool racks, 20% more production, which means we can build everything else quicker. We've got campfires, we've got pigs, we've got the start of a farm. Okay, I think we basically just need to make sure we don't... I'm going to make a deal with the Storm Tribe to try and keep them sweet. So we're going to give them some of the stuff we don't need. We're going to give them a trophy and some wood. Okay, our relationship's gone up to 4 now. We just want to make sure that they don't attack us. We develop our little thing up here. Hopefully at some point they'll move. We can go over there and then we can start worshipping the volcano. But at the moment we're kind of stuck here. We're in a slightly less precarious position. We are sort of, you know, we're losing members. We're down to 15, which is not good. But we seem to be friendly with these guys, which means they're not going to attack us for now. So I would say we keep domesticating tubers, sweet potatoes and pigs. Eventually we'll build a farm, but we need to gather rocks and stuff for that. So I think maybe getting the food resource up first. Domesticate as much stuff as we can so that we become farmers, and then maybe we'll grow a bit quicker, and then we can worry about like doing anything else after that point. It will work itself out. Okay, so focus on domesticating the pigs and then worry about the plants after we've got an actual farm. Okay, cool. Thanks for that one. More pigs. I'm generally going just clicking on the high risk option in a lot of those events at the moment just because we're not doing great anyway, so I mean that means I should go for the more conservative option, but we don't have many characters left anyway, so okay, we've got decent food income now. I mean, that's partly because we lost a lot of our tribe, but now we can start training bows. That's good. We've got loads of training points. We've got more experience domesticating boar. We can use that to become better at research. We can use it for food now. We don't need it for food now. Let's use it for productivity. We've got more ink, more. We can build stuff quicker, basically. Okay. Now to build a farm, we need wood and stone. We build a quarry first. We can build. We can gather the stone quicker. Tempted to do that. So let's start. We can't. We can't gather wood at the moment, so we might have to... We can't gather stone at the moment, so we might have to trade stuff to get stone off of these guys. Let's see if they've got stone. They don't have any. So we should keep an eye on them, really, and just keep seeing if they've got something that we need over here. Because a lot of the stuff... Give us your pigs. There we go. Just bought some pigs off them. Every time we trade with them, it puts our relationship up, which means they're less likely to attack us, though. So. Farm needs to be next to a river. Okay, we can't build a farm there. We've ended up in the worst place, but it's quite a good test for the game as well, just to see, is the game still fun when we're stuck here? I'm still having a decent time with it. So get rid of these predators. Give me a trophy. Can make a pasture. Maybe we want a pasture to put our pigs in. See what we can train. Run trials. Is there anything we can do to make our tribe make more babies more quickly? Let's try and make them less grumpy with each other first. There we go. Where's the growth stat that's like, so our happiness is really negative. So maybe we should just focus on that for a little while. Herbal medicine. We need some herbal medicine, guys. Okay. We need to do that. We're going to focus on researching that next then. Animal husbandry can wait. Let's get heated stones as well so that we can increase our max food. There's a heat wave. We don't need to do any more domesticating. We've got decent food income now. That took long enough. See, if I feel like if I replayed the game now with what I've learned, I would probably get into a decent state quite early on. I'm not gonna stop the game in the middle of a stream and start a new game, but I definitely feel like I kind of want to play it again to sort of apply what I've learned. Get rid of those guys. Get rid of those lynxes. We want them out of here. The music works fine for me. It's exactly what you would expect it to be, really. It's not intrusive. It does what you want it to do emotionally. It feels relaxed. It encourages you. It doesn't get in the way of your thinking, which is the problem with like very thinky games with lots of reading in, is you want the music to be unobtrusive. It's kind of, I mean, we say Stone Agey, it's like our kind of cartoon idea of Stone Agey music, because even if you go back like 500 years, the way that music sounds is not soothing to us. Like even like the music that we use in medieval fantasy is usually Renaissance music or further along. We don't really, because the kind of keys of what notes go together and stuff has changed so much that we just don't actually have a authentic sense of what earlier music would be like that actually fits with what would be pleasant for us to listen to at the same time as playing a game. But yeah, it fits with what we would expect from this kind of setting. The last couple of years, Ibn Inina Epeta has become more bitter and hostile. Well, they're the War Master, so I'm fine. I'm fine with them being bitter and hostile. You can be bitter and hostile. It makes you more courageous. Yeah, you got to find the middle ground between like the music that people expect from the theme and the music required for the gameplay genre. Right, okay. Seeing as we're trapped here, everyone else is just eating up the land, and we're going to just focus on studying nature. Then we can get our herbal medicine, then we can increase our birth rates, then we have a very small chance of surviving. Keep studying nature, guys. We need to get that. We need to get our herbal medicine. We need to get a shaman in this tribe. Okay. Everyone's getting on okay. We can now select a shaman. 17-year-old shaman. There we go. Oh. Let's do the fire rituals and try and make everyone happy. Right, we want the monument eventually, so let's start researching that now. Oh no, we don't need to gather wood. We can't really do anything with that, so let's keep doing the fire rituals and try and get this up to being a positive number. It's interesting. We're just happy because we got some quartz, which fair enough. I think if I had some quartz, it would make me happy. I don't think you need any more explanation for that other than yeah, that makes sense. So we've got a shaman, and then we need to level them up, and then we need to unlock discipline, or we need to keep piling discipline into this character at every opportunity we get. Okay, that's fine. We've got some more training points. Run some trials. We can add daggers to here. And we build a watchtower. Okay. Okay, let's gather wood and build a watchtower then. Oh, we're gonna build a watchtower now. There we go. They're building it. That gives 2 discipline. Yeah, we'll go with that. That boosts. Fertility has gone up. Women that might have children, 3. Probability of a band's woman having children next turn. So we've got 14 characters at the moment. And we've got every year we've got like a 1 in 10 chance, just above, getting a baby. We've got one. We've got a baby. We're making babies, we're making watchtowers. That's our focus. Vote UGG for economy. Making babies, making watchtowers. Domesticating pigs. I've got lots of quartz. Vote for me. Ceremonial burial. Okay, we've got that now. It means we can build a monument to the volcano if we get over there. Figurines give happiness per turn. We certainly need some happiness per turn. That's the thing that we've been needing. Stoneworking. Finish on animal husbandry now, because we've half done that already. Oh yeah, gonna turn them into a herbalist so that they can heal everyone. We lost someone then, but it's fine. Okay, we're doing okay for food. What have you guys got? You still haven't got any stone? Look, I know that quartz makes my people happy. So what about... What about you just give us loads of your sweet, sweet quartz? Just give us some cool stuff that we don't have. And we'll give you some food. We got way more food than we need. We'll be friends. And maybe some of these items will make my people... Oh yeah, we get more science, we get more production. These are doing helpful things. Duplicates do not stack. Okay. So just by having anything of one of these resources, you get like a little bonus because your scientists can pick up the amber and go, "Oh, what is this? What is this yellow thing? Maybe I will ponder it." Yeah, we're just gradually becoming extinct. No, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna start a new one. We're gonna give it one more hour. So, taking everything that we've learned and seeing if I can get off to a better start in an hour. We're gonna try it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Concede. Main menu. Should have attacked them, really. I should have let us get murdered, but let's try. Okay, tutorial pop-ups off. We're gonna be the Moon Tribe because I know how they work. We're just gonna start off, not end up in that situation where I'm trapped on a peninsula with a tribe 3 times the size as mine not letting me pass. Okay, we are. Okay, we're going to give it an hour now. We'll just see how far I can get in that hour. So here we are, 24 of us. No one else around. Nice jungle. Got a river. Let's see what our options are just to start off with. We've got enough food to start off with, so let's start off by choosing what to research. I guess we can't do anything with that yet, so we can just keep moving around. Yeah. Who is leading? We are going to be led by the traders this time. We'll focus on diplomacy. Okay. Distract it to save the child. We're gonna keep moving. Let's move into the jungle. To hunt the herd, I need training points, which I don't have. I get them at a point at 0.5 per turn. We need to find and occupy caves, which I didn't do in the first game. Oh, those are caves. Those bits sticking out there. We can go there. Okay. Okay, we're occupying caves. What does that do? Reduces the risk from wildlife, reduces the risk from exposure. Okay, and increase morale. We've got a lovely little spot here. We've got a river. We can build farms here later if we need to. We've got caves. We're all set up. The little fires are in the caves. That's a lovely little cozy touch there. Let's do some foraging because we need to stock up on food. We've got tapir. I love a tapir. One of my favorite animals. We can eat a monkey. Delicious. We can eat a chicken. Let's eat some chickens. And also hunt that cluster because we've got a point we can use to do that. Oh. Oh. Scare it away at great cost. Go away, predator. Hunt them down. We can't do any research yet. We're just going to keep... Let's do some training so that we can do these events more often, because these require a point of that training points every time. Right, we're going to stay put. We're going to stay where the caves are. It doesn't really make sense to move from there. Oh, too far down. Controlled fire. Let's go the other way this time. Right, yeah. I have been just always clicking the riskier event options, I know. We can keep getting malnourished, so I need to focus on foraging for a little bit. Let the dispute play out. Don't have an option there. Want those guys, get a bit extra food. Do some more foraging. What are these? Cacao. Delicious. Oh, it's the Oru. Hello. Well, at least I'm not stuck anymore. Get some campfires. Took me a long time to build the campfires before as well, which probably didn't help. Make sure that we're armed. Right, we're gonna assign a maker. And I want to do what I did before, which is just choose the youngest person to start off with so that we just give them the most opportunity to level up. Oh, everyone's coming to my river, are they? Typical. Everyone wants a piece of the good old big sip. Trials of the Proving Grounds. Okay. We can lock those in. And hold them. And that means that we can make rock throwers when we need to. Really? They've already got throwers. This could feel a little bit more kinetic in terms of just like having some thwack sounds and all of that kind of stuff. But I like how simple it is. Oh, mate. They've taken our caves. They've taken the caves. We're going to train. We're going to go back over there. We're going to kick their bums. Maybe I shouldn't start a vendetta against them, though. Damn. Lost 5. 2 births, 5 deaths. Okay. Get the domestic stuff down here next after we've got that. Okay, we need to do more researchy stuff. We've also not got any sort of animal herds around us to gather stuff from. Poo flinging. Yeah, we need poo flinging. I don't want to do. Oh no, Oru. Okay. Where was that? Where was that offer that just came up? Where was that deal? I don't have any offers for you, sorry. Can't believe they took the caves. So annoying. Maybe we're gonna move over here, get away from them. We can hunt the mammoth now. Maybe I should just move as far away from them all as possible. Become isolationists. Yeah, it seems like not settling down too early is probably a good shout. The way that the so one thing I'm really appreciating this game in this game is just the way that the economy shifts around as you're playing, which is what you need in any kind of strategy or management game. It's like, okay, we do need to secure food early on, but then it's the kind of situation of like the geographic situation, what the other tribes around you are doing. It's all kind of pushing the economy in different directions, which is really, really interesting. Let's get the tool racks early. Like being able to build tools is a good shout, although we don't have enough food really to focus on that yet. Okay. You a large game? You are a large game. Let's keep moving. I kept forgetting you can move more than once in a year. I'd sort of mislearnt the rule early on in the game as thinking that it was like one movement point per year, but I remember being taught that that's not how it works, and then I just misremembered it. Okay, we've got a new river. We've got some more caves we can get to over here. So let's do that. Keep foraging. Whew. Right. Get to a point where we're not absolutely starving and then start trying to domesticate some animals. Which we... No, we just need to keep foraging for now. Don't have much choice right now. We're just going to keep foraging for a few turns because we've got our research is going, and when it's up we will get our kind of food economy things, and then we can start focusing on other stuff. Where have they come from? Okay, totally outmatched again. Evil. Evil. What are you doing? What are you doing? Where did the Sun Tribe even come from? Trying to take our caves. Oh, I've ended up in the same situation. We've got nothing to offer them either. Rafts not available in demo. Man, I need rafts so badly. You can see how much I need rafts. Just ended up stuck again. Between a rock and a rock. It's gonna die again. Spend all my training points. Stealing food from snakes. Thank you. Gone away now. Right. That means now we can go over here and look at this opportunity. We've got some quartz. No. I'm not giving you all my food for some shells. What do you take me for? Right. We're going to start domesticating some piggies. I'm going to get herbal medicine again. So we can appoint a shaman. I want to domesticate a tapir. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Tapir rancher. They're so good. They're basically just pig elephants. War Master. Come on, Sun Tribe. Leave it out. So out of order. I hate the Sun Tribe. I don't know what I'll do, but it will involve the Sun Tribe and a big rock. Man. It's so harsh. See, I don't know if what I'm experiencing is a balancing thing or just the fact that we have so many tribes on the map to start with and they're so close together. They're like the computer feels like it's playing very aggressively. It might just be, I don't know. I don't know what it might be, but yeah, it does feel very harsh. Right, I'm gonna take the food that you left there. If that's what that is. Yeah, we're doing that. Those guys are jerks. I'll take their food. Of course. It's gonna get wiped out again. So basically, this is much too hard. The military side of it feels too hard on like the basic thing. I still like it. It does make me determined to keep wanting to try and like build up quicker than them. But yeah, they're so aggressive. And it's just, they just keep bullying me. It's not nice. I think it's one of the things that's worth factoring into like the single player versus multiplayer discussion is that in a single player one of these, there's not really any pressure for the computer to like really mimic what a human would do when they're playing against you as well. So then it becomes a case of like, what percentage win rate do you want players to have when they play the game? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up there because I'm not going to spend half an hour just sat in the corner of the map again. I really like this. I think we've hit a problem twice where it just feels like the game is too aggressive. And one of the things that I've listened to lots of people talk about sort of designing cooperative board games over on stuff like Board Game Design Lab and stuff like that. And a lot of the time, because that's kind of similar to a single player video game where you're taking like a strategic thing that would normally be played against other people and making a version of it where, you know, the players are playing against the game and not against each other. And they always kind of like have this idea of like, what is the percentage win rate that you want from the game? And then you balance to that. Like, and this is a big enough game now that it's got like a Steam playtest. You can start gathering data from it and you can look at like, you know, depending on what you've got implemented in terms of data tracking, you can look at like what builds people do that lead them to victory, and then you can tune based on that. But yeah, it feels like the computer plays like a very high level human player, which is not necessarily what you want for the majority of players in this when they're being introduced to it. You want them to be able to just kind of like, you know, play around in their own little sandbox and build their own sandcastles without them getting kicked over too regularly or too early. So yeah, I think what happened in both cases was the enemy had a slightly higher, had managed to secure growth earlier than me, and then I don't know if they just sort of looked at what percentage of units they had over mine in terms of like relative size, and then just hammered me after that point, which is kind of probably realistic in terms of like modeling what another player would do, but not necessarily satisfying for modeling aggressors in a what feels like a single player game. So that's the main thing I would look at. And like, I think we picked out a load of little things about interface and stuff that could be tweaked, but those are going to be like diminishing returns, tiny things. I think the way this game looks and the way it's tutorialized is basically very close to publishable now. I think lots of people wouldn't be like super angry at you if you were like, yeah, asking for money for this in its current form. But yeah, I it feels like the sort of thing I would come back to. Definitely needed to be able to unlock rafts to get out of this situation. Just sail away from them, settle a new island, and go, screw you guys. Keep taking my caves. Let's just keep attacking them and see if I can kamikaze myself. Right. I'm going to wrap it up there. Come back tomorrow. I will be doing our Discord community stream. So if you're a patron and you've submitted a game for that, I will get through most of the games that have been submitted. I prioritize the ones we haven't seen before. Then we work through games that we've seen before. And then, as has been the case with this game, if there's something that's a bit larger that we can't really get a feel for in 10 or 20 minutes, then I will maybe schedule its own stream for it. Thank you all for joining today. And yeah, go and check this out if you're interested in, sign up for the playtest, wishlist it, all of that stuff. This feels very, very close to kind of being publishable as it is. I had good time with this. It definitely exceeded my expectations, or maybe not. I'm a little bit poisoned by knowledge because I knew that the dev had done a lot of rounds of playtesting and stuff with this. So yeah, thank you for sending it over. And everyone else, if you've joined late, you want to know how to submit a game, look at the website. That's why it's on the screen all the way through these streams, so that you can go and get the information you need there. And I will see you all next time.